This is the World Happiness Report. It ranks 147 countries in terms of how happy its citizens are. Details of what the metrics are can be discussed in a different video. If you want to know, let me know in the comment section. In this video, let me highlight which country is the least happy. Afghanistan. Let's find where my home country India is. It's ranked 118. Bangladesh, my neighboring country, is ranked 134. Sri Lanka is 133, another neighboring country. Myanmar is 126. Where is Nepal and Pakistan? Pakistan is at 109. So India at 118, Pakistan at 109, just behind State of Palestine at 108. Pakistanis are more unhappy than Palestinians. And Indians are more unhappy than Ukrainians. Ukraine is at 111. India is at 118. Let's go towards the country which is considered to be the happiest on this list. The happiest country is Finland. No surprises there. Where is the United States of America? The United Kingdom is at 23 and the United States of America is at 24. So let's look at what makes people in Finland so happy from the perspective of an American in this video. I'm sure you'll like it. The ferry ride from Helsinki's city center to the island of Pilahasaari takes only 10 minutes and deposits visitors at a playground of beaches, trails, and rocky shoals excellent for sunbathing. But I had a different mission: to speak to a tree. This is the experience of an American who tried to understand what makes people in Finland so happy, and if it is possible to replicate in our own home countries. This is an American perspective, but can it be applied anywhere in the world? Let's find out. So the mission of the American was to speak to a tree. This was meant to be a therapeutic exercise, one championed by the Finnish biologist Adela Pahunen. Finns, she told me, sometimes share their worries aloud to trees or birds. Occasionally they may even sing to them. Why worry about trees or birds when you can start a YouTube channel which no one watches? On shore, I followed a gravel path in search of the perfect tree. I ruled out several pines before spotting a short black alder. I clambered onto a rock and began to tell the alder my woes. I had been romantically involved with someone who just told me he wasn't ready for a relationship. Still, I told the alder I was hopeful things might yet work out. He and I had kept in touch, sending voice messages back and forth. The alder's leaves rustled in response, a sign I interpreted as sympathy. I had come to Finland to see whether I could bring happiness back to America with me. Finland has topped the World Happiness Report for the past 8 years, a merit largely attributed to the Nordic welfare state, trust in the government, and public policies like free education and universal healthcare. Under these criteria, living in the United States is practically a recipe for misery. But the Finns also find contentment in more attainable ways, such as their close relationship with nature. 74% of Finland is covered by forest, and visiting the sauna daily. There are 3 million saunas for a population of 5.5 million. Finland's tourism agency is called Visit Finland. It uses the happiness ranking to entice travelers, and it appears to be working. Tourism is up to almost 5 million visitors in 2024. That's a country of 5.5 million with 5 million tourists. 5 million visitors in 2024, up from about 2 million in 2022. Last June, it hosted its second Find Your Inner Finn masterclass, awarding winners chosen from a social media challenge a free trip to Helsinki to learn from 5 locals known as Happiness Hackers, including Miss Pahunen and DJ Orchidia, a top Nordic electronic music performer. Also, I want to highlight here there were 5 million visitors in a country of 5.5 million, that is Finland. If a similar tourist population visits India in the same proportion, almost a billion people would be visiting India every year as tourists. Wow. Like many other Americans, I have struggled with unhappiness since the pandemic hit, sometimes experiencing anxious dreams, feelings of dread, and crushing loneliness. So I sought out some advice from the happiness hackers and planned a trip to Helsinki last June to put it all to the test. The hackers armed me with various solutions, both for the trip and to use on my return to the United States. Luca Balak, a co owner of the zero waste restaurant Nola, gave me a list of local dishes that would tie me back to nature. These dishes included licorice ice cream, savory rye crusted Karelian pies. Lena Salmi, a vibrant 71-year-old who skateboards and swims, spoke about her intense focus on the diving board. Tero Kuitunen, a ceramist, suggested doing something, anything, by hand: read, pick berries, fish, knit, and several told me to visit the saunas. These activities each contained similar goals: stay present and strive for a communal, minimalist lifestyle that relies on the earth. Frank Martella, a happiness expert and assistant professor at Aalto University, just outside Helsinki, explained that Finns often brag when their summer cabins are not equipped with dishwashers or even running water. That would be considered almost cheating, he said. Shortly after landing in Helsinki, I dropped my bags at the Hotel Fabian and headed to the waterside sauna and restaurant Loili, which means steam. I had expected the place to be quiet and calm with tinkling music. Instead, I came upon a loud group of Finnish men drinking beer in their swim trunks. As is custom, I alternated between short stints in the wood fired sauna and the Baltic waters, frigid even in June, reached via a ladder from the sun deck. Research has shown that cold plunges have physical benefits, but Finns also view the activity as a mental exercise, a way of staying present. I set a goal of 30 seconds. The water was so biting that all I could think about was counting to 30. Did that count as staying present? I pawed against the chop, trying not to drown. When I emerged, a rush of accomplishment overcame me. I repeated the circuit twice, and by the time I left, I felt a sense of ecstasy as my skin seemed to glow and my mind decluttered. Happiness came in waves and troughs over the next few days, though. I got a hit of endorphins at a different and more tranquil sauna, Lona, and unwound while eating salmon soup recommended by Mr. Balak. Then I found myself crying in the hotel room after ruining my shoes in the rain, overwhelmed by the elusive promise of happiness in this faraway country where I knew no one. Had I fallen prey to a marketing ploy?
Then I found myself crying in the hotel room after ruining my shoes in the rain, overwhelmed by the elusive promise of happiness in this faraway country where I knew no one. Had I fallen prey to a marketing ploy?
On my final morning, I took a 20-minute ferry ride to the rugged island of Valisari, intending to take one last relaxing forest walk along a 1.8-mile trail. But as the boat puttered away, I began having a panic attack. Today is the perfect day to be happy, a painted wooden sign read, but loneliness and isolation had followed me halfway across the world. That night, I had planned to hit a karaoke bar to test out one of DJ Orchidia's happiness hacks, communal dancing, after having dinner at the sustainable Michelin-starred restaurant Grand. But I slipped into bed instead. As I wrote in my journal, sometimes happiness is a hotel bathrobe and snuggling under the covers. Still, I was optimistic that I could recreate the happiest moments of this trip back home in New York, even if I had to get creative, say a forest walk in Central Park. How hard could it be, really?
How hard could it be, really?
As it turns out, happiness is a luxury in the United States of America, a privilege even. I was dismayed to find that most sauna passes in New York cost upward of 60 American dollars. As a freelance journalist, I could not afford to steam like the Finns, many of whom have access to saunas in their homes or apartment buildings. But I eventually found a place in Brooklyn that offered a reasonable deal, and on Friday evenings began visiting its backyard barrel sauna, soaking tub, and one person cold plunge. It wasn't Helsinki, but the space was tucked away enough to give an aura of serenity. Because I was not about to forage for my own food like the Finns, I tried the next best thing, shopping at the farmer's market. I also purchased a pot containing basil, thyme, chive, and sage plants with the intent of becoming a gardener. Anna Nyman, a forager who lives about 30 minutes from the Helsinki city center, told me that she once grew produce and herbs on her balcony, and therefore other city dwellers could too. I even had a watermelon growing, she said. My kitchen does not get much sunlight, so every morning I carried my little garden to the roof. Some nights I went out drinking and forgot about it. Summer storms soaked the soil. One evening I chopped the basil stem too low and was left with a barren nub. Eventually, everything died, and someone tossed out the pot. All in all, however, things were going pretty well. I even had a breakthrough one afternoon as I rushed through Central Park after an emotional therapy session and noticed a cluster of people staring at the ground. I flicked my eyes to the asphalt. A cardinal. I stopped to admire the bird's red plumage before it flapped away. This was a win, I decided, for staying present. Then, in late July, the man I'd been involved with texted me to say he had started seeing someone. I soon learned that he'd actually gotten married. I tried to channel Sisu, a Finnish word meaning perseverance, but my mood fluctuated for weeks. Sometimes all it took was a brisk nature walk for the dopamine to kick in. Other times I ate very little or cried at random. Once, while chopping a farm picked tomato I had bought for the purposes of this experiment. Soon, even the sauna no longer lifted my spirits. I was sitting at the beach one afternoon, wondering why nature was not making me feel better when the answer hit me. I was trying too hard to live exactly like the Finns. I had been so bogged down trying to find the time and money for the happiness hacks that I had missed the point of what all the hackers were saying. Quiet the mind and find pleasure in small acts and observations.
Quiet the mind and find pleasure in small acts and observations.
Like a cardinal taking flight or talking to trees. Simple things, Miss Pahunen had said. This is at the core of what Finns have to offer the rest of the world. One Saturday, I forced myself to get dressed and walk my dog in Central Park. I said hello to the European lindens and northern red oaks as we strolled near the zoo. Immediately, I felt better. But before we moved on, I carried out a small but comforting ritual I had developed. I thanked the trees for listening, and I thank my viewers for watching this video. Stay happy.
Stay happy.
Stay happy.